You know what I find to be rather interesting with all these strange and disturbing news stories that seem to come out almost every day, and then we have these drones, the drone sightings, the whole drone phenomena, which has now turned into these drones are now sniffing out for lost nukes, that has now turned into these drones are trying to find this radioactive material that was lost in New Jersey. It was supposed to be in the shipping container, but for whatever reason, the shipping container became damaged. And again, the radioactive material has become lost. With all this stuff going on, every time a government official comes on TV, it feels like they're lying. They know something and they're not telling the truth.
What's the explanation for all those drones over New Jersey? What's behind all of that?
Nothing nefarious apparently, but they're checking it all out. I think it's just one. There's a lot of drones authorized up there. I think one started and they all got it. Everybody wanted to get in the deal, but we're following it closely. So far, no sense of the danger.
And with all this going on, the lies and everything we see in the news, it feels like something's coming to a head, that something big is around the corner, whether it's a false flag, more than likely it is a false flag, or something else. Again, it feels like something big is around the corner. But if you have been subscribed to this channel for quite some time now, you will know that, and you will remember that we have spoken about this months ago, before all these drone sightings, before all these other sightings and so forth, all these news stories. We have all said that we felt like something big was around the corner because there were news stories coming out where it seemed like the powers that be, the so-called powers that be, they were aware of something, they were planning, and not only were they planning, but they were also preparing. Now that it's very possible that something big is on our doorstep, it's here or it's coming up very soon, some of us have forgotten to connect previous news stories to what's currently going on today. For example, there were some millionaires and almost every billionaire that were buying these fabulous underground bunkers, these massive underground bunkers with also defense systems.
They seem to have a new obsession: bunkers. The top 1% are building bunkers. Mark Zuckerberg is constructing one in Hawaii, and it's worth $270 million, $270 million. It's almost like a status symbol now. But why do the super rich need bunkers? Are they trying to survive a war? Maybe another pandemic? Or an apocalypse? Do they know something that we do not? Our next report tells you.
It wasn't just Mark Zuckerberg that was building this massive underground bunker with rooms hidden behind walls, false rooms, false doors, weapons, and so forth. But there were a lot of these billionaires that were creating these underground bunkers, to the point there were news articles coming out in 2024, the beginning of 2024, that asked the question if these billionaires knew something that we did not. Take this article that was published on February 25th, 2024 by The Guardian. It is titled, "The Latest Billionaire Trend, Doomsday Bunkers with a Flammable Moat," and under it, it says, "Is all this bunker building a sign the 1% know something we don't and are preparing for the end times?" Now, I don't know if they are preparing for the apocalypse or not, because the Bible does say that the rich will flee underground and in mountains. But it's also not outside the realm of possibility that the so-called elite, the so-called powers that be, will tell the other so-called powers that be that, heads up, we have something big planned and you better start preparing now. You better start going underground now. These massive underground bunkers are also shrouded in secrecy, and people involved with the projects are bound by non-disclosure agreements, NDAs. And it goes on to state that the only other time you see that is when you're doing secure military installations. One local construction industry official affiliated with the site told Wired, "For a private project to have an NDA attached, it is very rare." Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what the site is stating. The article goes on to say that Al Corby, president of Strategically Armored and Fortified Environments, SAFE, a Virginia-based bunker company, recently told The Hollywood Reporter that his clients have been coming up with cunning ways to ensure their luxury apocalypse retreats can't be breached by the great unwashed, which I'm assuming is us, the public. One of the projects Corby is currently working on for an unnamed business mogul is an island fortress with a flammable moat. Try and breach it and it will burst into flames. The article goes on to state, and the other articles as well, not just this one article, how these bunkers also have cannons and so forth. And a lot of these bunkers have been built or are in the process of being built very recently. So of course they knew that something was coming ahead of time.
This is not just a bunker. The entire island is like a fort with an inflammable moat. Basically, if you try to step foot on the island, it will burn down. But you will be perfectly safe inside the underground bunker. Sounds perfect for a zombie apocalypse. But why are the super rich building bunkers? What are they so scared of? Some of these bunkers have registered nurses, a collection of drugs, decontamination booths, medical supplies. One even has a full-fledged operating table. Basically, you can survive anything in there. It's almost like modern-day Noah's Ark. If you are in the bunker, you are likely to survive almost all catastrophes. But it's not for everyone. It's only for the chosen few.
And then we have that very bizarre story where people in Congress want to expedite the process of where if 100 or more members of Congress were to pass away together, then they should be able to expedite the process of immediately bringing somebody in to fill those seats. Just out of nowhere, a couple months in September, before these drone sightings, before this whole nuke story, before this whole lost radioactive material story came out, lawmakers suddenly became worried about what would happen in a mass event where 100 or more Congress members were to lose their lives together. We have nothing in place. We have nothing planned for such an event. There were lawmakers that came out and said, we need to be able to fill these seats as fast as we can, and we have nothing in place. What? Are you worried about something happening in the very near future? Maybe 2 months from now, 3 months from now? Then we had all these other news stories come out after the election about the quietness before the storm. It was very quiet. There was an eerie quietness, which led us all to believe that, again, something big was around the corner. I even made a video on this. So there was just a lot of news stories, a lot of articles that came out that, again, made us all believe that something big was around the corner. And now, again, that it could be on our doorstep. We have to look back at these previous news stories to know that they were fully aware and fully prepared and planning for whatever this is that is coming. But where is this something big going? Where is it all leading to? What is the end point? And I find it rather interesting, the lack of conversation around these long-range transportation plans, which are basically these smart cities. How many channels, how many people, how many news agencies are talking about these long-range transportation plans, and that almost every city, every state within the United States, every country has a long-range transportation plan. Some don't call it long-range transportation plans. They call it something else. Other countries straight up call them a long-range transportation plan. But almost every location around the world has a 2030, 2040, 2045, 2050 long-range transportation plan. Matter of fact, if you go on YouTube and search long-range transportation plan, a lot of states, a lot of countries actually have videos on these plans. The contracts are already put in place. The monies are being spent, and nobody's talking about it. When the Maui fires had occurred, and there was a lot of theories going on, there was one individual in a city-county meeting that stood up and said, this is what the fires are all about. The Healy-Mai 2040 Long-Range Transportation Plan. Before I go ahead and play this video, I want you to ask the question, if there are stakeholders in place, shareholders, contracts, and monies already put down for this Healy-Mai long-range plan, and they basically lit Maui on fire, then what are they going to do with the rest of these locations that have these long-range plans to make way for these smart cities, to build from the ground up? Let us not forget that New Jersey actually has a 2030 long-range plan, which means they are one of the locations that's on the chopping block first. And it's very interesting. These are where all the drones are coming from. This is where the radioactive material and possibly the nukes. And again, they are the first ones with a long-range plan. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play this video clip.
Lived here on Oahu since 1980. Father, grandfather. This is an emotional meeting. Nani, you mentioned a moment ago, this is not about Maui. This is absolutely about Maui. And my concern, and I'm actually speaking to each of you sitting around this table. Each of you have a placard representing an organization. And I have a question before I actually have my testimony. By a raise of hands, are any of you participating in an event, in a restructuring as a stakeholder on Maui at any level, whether you're state, federal, private, or a private citizen? Are you engaged? Are you a stakeholder? Are you written? Is your name listed as a stakeholder of any of the redevelopment plans regarding a smart city? By a raise of hands, I would like to see a raise of hands. Because the information is out there. Raise of hands. I can tell you, Department of Planning, DLNR, DBED, Housing, all of these agencies, and I'm not saying to you directly, but you're here representing these agencies, therefore, it is your responsibility to tell the truth. Each one of these agencies have signed on as stakeholders for the redevelopment of a smart city in Maui. I'm asking you again, who is signed on?
So I'm sorry, but I asked for testimony pursuant to the agenda, and there's nothing on the agenda about smart cities. And if we could also refrain from yelling.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'll provide clarification. Smart cities is everything about housing. The idea that you're going to sit around this table, and I realize it's not on today's agenda, but the idea that you're going to sit around this table and make decisions about the long-term viability of sustained life on Maui without the people's input, I can tell you, is this a charade? It is true. Try go to Hele Mai Maui 2040.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a 5-minute break. I have repeatedly stated we are not discussing Lahaina. Just to calm temperatures down.
Okay,
we will come
fair
back
enough.
in 5 minutes.
I
We're taking a recess.
You're all responsible, and I would like to talk to you when you say that it's not true. I can tell you, Hele Mai Maui 2040. Look at the stakeholders, and you're going to find all of your departments listed as stakeholders. Okay, I'll be right here.
And I have to be honest with you, I did not know about these long-range plans until after Maui. Until after this video came out and this gentleman talking about the Hele Mai 2040 long-range plan. Now, yes, I always knew about these smart cities and what's going on with the smart cities, but I didn't know there was an actual long-range transportation plan behind it, the actual contracts, the actual designs, the actual phrase long-range plan. I did not know that had existed. And again, go on YouTube, type in long-range transportation plan, and you will see there are so many videos coming out from different locations and those behind it discussing the plans. And this costs money. You believe that just one day out of the blue, randomly, all these locations, all these officials behind these different locations just decide to say to themselves, I would like a long-range transportation plan. No, there are powers that be that are behind this. They told us they want to get rid of the cows. They don't like cows. They don't like farmland. This is all about control. This is where everything leads. This is a part of that 2030 agenda. Seriously, go on YouTube right now, type in long-range transportation plan. You won't find anybody talking about the theories behind these plans. You'll hardly hear anybody talking about this. But you will see that, again, almost every location has a YouTube video about these plans. So what's going to happen to the old cities? What's going to happen to the buildings, the homes? They all have to come down. If you pay attention to all of this, they all have to come down to rebuild the lands, restructure the lands to make it more eco-friendly. While all of this is going on above the reconstruction, and I don't know how they're going to go about it. Again, it could be a staged alien invasion, could be a false flag war, it could be anything. While the reconstruction is going on above, we will have the billionaires and some millionaires in their underground bunkers. we will have some Congress people in their underground bunkers after they fake certain events, and these Congress people are instantly replaced. This is more than likely why we have this great Hollywood outing currently going on. So these people can say they went to prison, like a certain Jeffrey, and all while they are just hiding in their underground bunker, while all these other things are currently taking place to, again, restructure all these lands and areas. But well, this is just for entertainment purposes only. Of course, this is just fear-mongering, so we should just go ahead and ignore all of those contracts, all of the long-range transportation plans. Let's just go ahead and outright ignore it. Let's just go ahead and ignore what happened in Maui, the Healy Mai 2040 long-range plan, and let's just go ahead and blame the aliens.
Meet for the 20th. I hope I will have pleasure still to be invited for the meeting when we meet for the 20th Governors Summit. You will use the app like Uber, but not anymore to call some driver, but automatically guided car, a self-driven car, will come to your hotel or wherever you are and will bring you to the airport. No, Los Angeles is one of the cities with the heaviest traffic, who told me in 2030 Los Angeles will be private car driven free. And this will allow to transform highways into parks and other public spheres.